Hello, and welcome to Monroe County Civics Theater's Director Profile, where we discuss our upcoming plays and interview the people that are involved. I'm Kenny Hertling, and I will be the host this afternoon. Devin May will be joining me shortly. Devin is the director of King Henry IV, Part 1 by William Shakespeare. Have you ever wondered what happens when you depose a king and then the new guy tosses you aside? You can find all that out and more with this free performance if you visit www.mcct.org, where you can get more information. All right, folks, now joining me is Devin May. Devin, hello.
Hello, Kenny.
Thank you for joining us today. Now, Devin, just remember, I'm in the director's chair for this interview. So you just relax and help the audience get to know you a little bit, all right?
All right. We'll turn the tables tonight at rehearsal. How about that?
Fair enough. Fair enough. I won't begrudge you that. All right. So when did you first want to be involved in theater?
So I got involved in theater in 6th grade. I I got into it because my sister was doing like backstage run crew for the drama club in our middle school. And I just tagged along with her one day and I got hooked in with it. So over the 2019-2020 school year, I worked for Kentucky Shakespeare Festival, and I got this question all the time from the kids. And what I told them was that I grew up doing sports and playing like football, baseball, all the different team sports. And what I really loved about theater was that when I got to be the age where like all the kids were getting bigger than me and I couldn't really like keep up with the sports anymore, I still got that sort of team camaraderie and that sense of that you get from being in a cast. I still got the team camaraderie. Actually, I can kind of segue this with another question I think you were going to ask me about how I got involved with MCCT, because that's really the thing that like got me hooked. So I moved to Bloomington for my 8th grade year, and then one of the first things I did here was MCCT's Shakespeare in the Park way back in 2013. It was my first Shakespeare play. It was the first time I was acting with like community members of all ages. And it was just fantastic. And I loved every bit of it. You know, the production being Midsummer Night's Dream, it's this big fantastical production. We had incredible like costume designs by Becky DeLong. Yeah, so that's really where I got hooked, and that's why I'm still here, because I want to give back to the community that got me my start and really got me excited about theater.
Yeah, well, that's really awesome to hear that you want to give back, particularly with this concept of directing a show. Like, think about it, almost a decade ago, you were in it, now you're directing one. So tell us a little bit more about the role of a director and how you might describe it.
Yeah, so my role as a director, a lot of it happens before we ever get to rehearsals. So I've been doing a lot of prep work in like the months leading up to rehearsals. My kind of mantra is to set us up for success. So I do a lot of prep work ahead of time in terms of like cutting down the script to make the language and everything accessible to the audience. In terms of like preparing documents like scene breakdowns, so I know who's going to be in what scene, and then preparing like the rehearsal schedule so that we can kind of visualize how everything gets done. So a big part of my role happens before we ever see rehearsals. And I think the most important part of a director's job is the casting, because if you get the right people on board, then that just makes your whole life easy. And if you've set yourself up for success, you've got the right people on board, then running rehearsals just goes like clockwork. And I feel like that's how this has been going. We've been making really good progress in rehearsals. I hope you feel the same way, and I hope everyone else does too.
Yeah, no, it has been a blast so far. I can't believe that we only have 2 weeks left. Oh, you got more?
Yeah, I remembered a story I wanted to tell you, and I got a prop down for it. It's about the first thing I ever directed. Um, I wanted to tell you that when you asked me about directing. So the first play I ever directed, I was a senior in high school at Theater South, and I was directing a play called Charlie's Aunt, which is it's an old farce, an old like English farce by Brandon Thomas. So we had my opening night of the first play I ever directed. We had this bit staged where like a couple actors basically like lift another actor up onto a table, and we've done it 1,000 times. Nothing's ever gone wrong. Tonight, the curse of opening night, these actors go to lift the other one up on the table, and when they put him down, the table leg splits right off, and it's like on a platform too. So this thing just tumbles off, and all the actors go like tumbling to the ground. Fortunately, no one was hurt, but I can say definitively that I have broken a leg during a performance. It was a table leg, and I still have it right here. It hangs on my wall to remind me that that I have indeed broken a leg. That was the first performance I ever directed, and it was a treasure.
That is fantastic. It is really interesting the things that still come with us when
Yeah,
directing, when we're on stage, and everything that we carry through with this whole community.
yeah.
So while we're talking about directing, so at www.devinmay.com, your
Oh,
web, you have a directing statement, and I can see that you seek innovative ways to break down barriers of access and inclusion. How are you able to work that into the show?
yeah. So just to talk about that a little bit, something I've mentioned with this production is that as being a community theater, you can't have the theater without the community. So inclusion is really important when it comes to building a community and a cast. Because when you get everyone, to gel, that's when the theater magic really happens. So there's a couple levels where I focus on like inclusion and access in a production. And one is just inclusion within the scope of like the cast. And then I am also thinking about access for the audience and making Shakespeare plays accessible to all walks of life, right? So when it comes to building inclusion with the cast, there's like a few different practices that I do and a few things I watch for. One, we do a check-in ritual at the beginning of every rehearsal where we just go around and give everyone a chance to say hello to the group and say as much or as little as you want, say how your day is going. It seems kind of just like a casual thing, but to me, it's really a Jedi mind trick because it's a way for people to not have to leave their day behind when they come to rehearsal. It's a way for everyone to, show up at rehearsal, express themselves, be seen by everyone, so that if they can, if they can lay down like how their day's been, then everyone else around them can support them. You know what I mean? It helps us all be supportive of each other when we know what everyone else is walking into rehearsal with. Let's see some other ways that we build inclusion. I try not to come to rehearsals with like a predetermination of how the blocking is going to look. So what I try to do is let the actors explore the scene and explore their impulses. And I try to say yes and to choices that you bring and shape them into, just shape everything together, right? Making the Shakespeare play accessible to audiences. A couple ways that we do that. One has a lot to do with like the script, preparing the script. So when I go through doing the cuts of the script, I'm looking for like really antiquated language that we just don't understand. And oftentimes I'll just cut those bits right out. If I can, sometimes I'll like substitute a word or two in so that it might make it more accessible to our audience. But when we have like just antiquated, like timely political jokes from the 1600s, sometimes it just disrupts our understanding of the play. So that's kind of the discretion I use with doing cuts. But also, another way that we make the play accessible is we're staging a lot of action that happens in and around the audience, right? So that hopefully is going to be really exciting for people sitting in the audience to have action and storytelling that catches your eye, all around you.
Very nice. So, other than being extremely immersed in the production, clearly, why should audiences come see the show?
Well, we're throwing MCCT is throwing the kitchen sink at this production. We got a little bit of everything in there as far as Shakespeare plays go. We've got singing and dancing, we've got sword fighting, we've got drama and intrigue, we've got riotous tavern scenes, we've got live hurdy-gurdy music, which the hurdy-gurdy is a medieval era or Renaissance era stringed instrument that our hurdy-gurdy player described it as a cross between a violin and a bagpipe. So if you're interested to see what that sounds like, it's really cool. Come out and see the production.
Speaking of which, Devin, how might someone be able to come see the production?
Yes. We are at the 3rd Street Park, which is right behind the main police station. The performance dates are June 2nd through 5th. So it'll be June 2nd, 3rd, and 4th at 7 p.m. and then Sunday, June 5th at 2 p.m. And performances are free to the public. Come on out, bring a chair and a blanket, make it a picnic. It's a great time, Shakespeare in the Park.
All right. Well, Devin, thank you so very much for being here today, sharing your talent and your love for this craft with myself and the audience. And audience, thank you very much for watching. You folks have a good one, and we'll see you at the show.
Thanks, Kenny.